and I'll give everybody a chance to join me. Grab your water. I'm drinking lemon water today. I was drinking basil lemonade yesterday. Hey, everybody. Let me just get situated here and comfy. If you are joining me, welcome. I'm going to wait a couple minutes to get down to all the amazing stuff that I have to share. If you're watching, please let me know if you can see me. Let me know if the sound is okay and if the picture is okay, because sometimes you can't see me or you can't hear me and I don't hear about it for a couple minutes. So I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to join me. I know I'm early. Hey, Esther's daughter. I know I'm early, but I got everything situated and I was really hoping that it would stay situated. Hey, Ron, thanks for joining me as well. So it is a beautiful day in East Texas. Hey, Agape Field, thanks for joining me. And Missy's here as well. Last I checked, it was 89 degrees. Hey, Tom, thanks for joining me. It was 89, and I think the feels like was like 95 or something like that. Or more. But we also might have thunderstorms rolling in. So I thought, well, let's get going with this and get started. For those of you that are just joining me, hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hey, Moon Bladen. Hey, Peter. Thanks for joining me. I want to ask you, do you ever watch my Facebook Lives? I fully understand that not everybody is on Facebook, which is why I do a YouTube Live. I started doing a Facebook Live. Hey, Jenny, every Wednesday, Chelsea says you watch my lives. Every Wednesday on Facebook at 5 p.m. Central Time, I'm indoors at my desk, and I've got tons of seed specifically that I share links while I'm live on Facebook that I can't necessarily do on YouTube. Unfortunately, Facebook started removing some of my videos, and it's not anything I did. It's just that after a certain point with my live chats, they are removing them. I might start downloading them. Hey, Altered Ego, thanks for joining me. I might start downloading my Wednesday live chats on Facebook and share them to YouTube, and that way you guys can see it as well. Peter says, I don't do Facebook anymore. So I personally probably would not do Facebook at all if I didn't have a business. But sometimes I like to connect with homesteaders and things like that. Some of my friends where we're talking about gardening and things like that, raising chickens, all that good stuff. So it does have somewhat of a purpose in keeping in contact with some of those people. But I was a little frustrated that my videos, my live videos started just disappearing before I realized that I can download them and then upload them to YouTube. So if you see some random Facebook videos shared to YouTube coming up, it's not going to be Facebook, it's going to be YouTube. It'll just be the same format where people are commenting and I'm responding, but you may not be able to see comments. So I wanted to throw that out there at you. I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to do that, but it's a possibility. So it is almost 5 o'clock and I want to share with you some awesome information today. My live chats on YouTube are usually a little shorter because I'm outside in the garden, and usually my YouTube videos, my live videos, are garden specific. It's not look at this variety and telling you about this variety and then here's a link to the seeds if you want to purchase it, because that's really what my Facebook lives are. And there's a whole lot more interaction on top of that too. It's not just like buy. I'm just explaining like different random seeds. Today I want to talk about summer seed starting. And I got my water because it is hot. Nancy, I went back to see what the videos were available. There's literally my first 3 and my most recent 3, and that's it. So that's 6 videos out of last night's videos number 22. So I will only be able to save 6 out of 22 videos right now. But at least I'll know for the future that I can download them and upload them, and then you guys can see them as well. And maybe I'll come on. Missy says, what are the flowers next to you? These are zinnias. That is on my list of stuff to talk about tonight. All right, so let's get down to the meat and potatoes of this video. Tonight's topic is summer seed starting. So I talked about last night specific varieties that are more heat tolerant that you can plant literally right now in your garden to grow during the summertime. So for those of you that are just joining me, hit the thumbs up and subscribe. And part of the reason I like Facebook is because I have so many followers on Facebook, I reach more people. On YouTube, I only have 15,000 subscribers. So if you're watching this and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Share with your friends. Let them know that there's a lot of garden-specific information here. I don't care where you buy your seeds. I just want to help you grow an amazing garden. And that's what my YouTube channel is all about. That's what my website's all about. In the description section of this video and every single one of my videos, you'll find a link to my comprehensive planting guide. That's a super important link. I spent hours compiling that information so that you guys can have that information available to you. So definitely check that out as well. Tonight, I'm going to talk about planting seeds in the summertime. So one of the things you want to keep in mind is you want to plant varieties that do well in the heat. Now is not the time to plant cabbage, for example. Now is not the time to plant garden peas, but it is the time to plant cowpeas, which are also called southern peas or crowder peas. Don't even get me started on that little topic that someone tried to argue with me about. But I will share this. All crowder peas are cowpeas and not all cowpeas are crowder peas. There is a difference. So in my garden right now, this is no longer a garden. This is a jungle. I was gone for a couple days. We had tons of rain before that, and it is overgrown. It is wild. I'm going to show you this really quick, and then I'll put you right back. Because I like to share what I call the good, bad, and the ugly. And this isn't really ugly, but it's not picture perfect. It's not magazine style gardening, even though this backdrop is really pretty. These are zinnias, and then I got Genovese basil, and then I have some squash growing in the background. And behind that, I've got marigolds. Check out this mess. Oh my goodness. It's literally a jungle of tomatoes over there. I've got Matt's Wild Cherry, and I had on the back side, I had some that just bloomed or not bloomed, but they germinated, and I was like, oh, I didn't plant that. And those are plants from last year's seeds. So super excited. Just dropped some seeds and there we go. I have so much going on in here. You've got okra right there. That is Beck's Big Buck okra. That is another for seed saving because I only planted one in this area. Super excited. Now, what am I doing for summer planting? I am going to be pulling up some of this garden. I'm looking over here and I've got some squash that's super buggy, so I'm going to pull that out. I've got some bush beans in the same bed and I'm going to pull that out. So now I need to decide what I'm going to plant. Hey, Amy, and hey, Inga, thanks for joining me. So I am going to want to plant crops that are okay in the summertime, that do well in the summertime. Someone asked me last night during my live chat, what about beets? Some people say, yes, you can plant beets in the summertime. I prefer not to. I prefer to wait to plant, beets later on in the year, like September, because my first frost date isn't until November. So I've got plenty of time. Let's see. Hey, Mary in chat, my Tramontino seeds bought from you have germinated. I'm guessing you meant germinated, not terminated. And they're going good. I love to hear that. So, hey, Michelle. So the first thing on our list to consider when you're planting in the summertime is planting heat tolerant crops. If you've got a very short growing season and say September is when your frost dates are, then yes, maybe you want to plant beets. I thought so. I gotcha. So you want to do that. And I totally forgot and I wrote it down and I didn't share with you in the beginning. Speaking of flowers, Inga says my beets are coming out right now. So yes, so you live in a climate where your frost dates, your last frost date is significantly later in the year than mine. So I planted my beets in February and March. I've already pulled out my beets and my radish and planted another crop of things. And I'll talk about succession planting in a minute. Before I do that, Missy asked about these flowers behind me, and those are zinnias. We have as not just for zinnias. I have a discount code right now. It is the number 3 and the number 0, so 30 flowers. 30 flowers. That is all caps, no spaces, and you're going to use that in the discount code box at checkout. It will save you 30% on all of our flower seeds right now, and well, it's been a couple days, through July 1st. This information, hey Jane, hey Tammy, this information was shared in an email last week. So if you missed it, either you're maybe not receiving my emails, or maybe you missed it in one of my emails. So if you haven't already signed up for my emails, I highly recommend that you do so. Down in the description below, there is a link to sign up for my newsletter. It's free. I don't sell your information. The only thing you get is stuff from Mary's Heirloom Seeds. And one really important reason why you need to sign up for my emails, if you haven't already, is seed garlic. I have 3 raised beds back here, which you can't really tell because I have this jungle in front of me. I have 3 raised beds back here of garlic that needs to get pulled out. I wanted to wait till it dried out a little more. Fingers crossed it isn't totally rotted because we had so much rain. And honestly, I should have harvested it last week, but I was out of town helping my dad. So I just didn't get a chance to do it. It's not the end of the world, but I will do it this week. And if you sign up for my emails, hey Natasha, you will see that seed garlic will be ready to pre-order this week. This is something that I get emails about all the time for garlic, and sometimes it's in fall, sometimes it's summer, sometimes it's spring, because of course, speaking of social media, everybody's posting about how their garlic is germinating in spring. The time to purchase seed garlic is July, because we ship it out late September, early October. You plant it then, and then it starts to germinate after the winter. So now is the time to start thinking about that. If you haven't already signed up for my email, now is the time to do it. Now, if you are planting seeds, you want to do a couple things before. Thought I was going to have to make a run for it. The sprinkler went off. But it's headed that way instead of this way. All right, so if you're planting seeds, Natasha says you've been watching your email like a hawk. Now, I have not updated my website yet, but I will be updating my website, if not tonight, tomorrow, and I will be sending out the email tomorrow. You are definitely going to want to see this. So you want to moisten your soil before you're planting seeds. Super important. You do not want to plant seeds when it's dry. And another thing you can do as well is, if you're planting seeds now and it's really hot in your area, plant your seeds in the evening time. That way, less of the moisture will be evaporated off in the heat of the day. So something to consider. Something to consider if you are seed planting during summer is to moisten your soil very well before you plant your seeds, and plant your seeds in the evening time. That way they have a chance to not shrivel up and dry out. Another thing you can do is you can soak your seeds before you plant them in the evening time. So again, it just gives them a little bit of a head start in this sometimes brutal heat. We didn't really get a fall. It went from cold to hot. It happens. We might get rain today. We might not. So direct sow in the summertime, absolutely. There's almost zero reason for you to start seeds indoors or in containers during the summertime. Literally 100% of the seeds that I sow during the summertime are direct sown. It is so easy, and that's just the way I like to do it. I like simple and I like easy. So you can, if you're planting some zinnias, which are heat tolerant, they are fantastic to plant in the summertime. You can literally sprinkle some seeds in an area, sprinkle some soil on it, water it really well, and walk away. But make sure you come back the next day and water it again so it doesn't dry out. So I talked about the flower seed sale. It's only going on till July 1st. I will have a July seed sale. I will have a July seed giveaway also announced on July 1st, so stay tuned for that. Keep your soil moist for optimal germination. There are several reasons that your seeds don't germinate, and the number one is too much water. If it's raining constantly and your soil is soggy, your seeds will most likely rot and you won't see optimal germination. If your seeds are moist and the soil is moist and then it dries out, again, that's another reason you're not going to see optimal germination. So soil moisture and soil temperature are super important. We don't have to worry about soil temperature right now. So that's why I wanted to mention to you to keep your soil moist. You definitely don't want to plant some seeds and then have them not germinate because they dried out. Now, what can you plant right now? One of the varieties I mentioned is cucumbers last night, and two very heat tolerant varieties are Suyo Long and Armenian cucumber. Those are on my hit list for must plant in the summertime if I've got some space. So I showed you earlier, I've got a couple of beds here that's like jungle over here, and I'm going to pull some of it out, not all of it, but I've got some squash over there that's buggy. I've got some bush beans over there that need to be pulled out, and that leads me to succession planting. So I've talked about it before. Are those right here? These are zinnias. These are all zinnias. And then you've got basil. This is Genevieve's basil behind me, and there's little flowers. These are all zinnias. They all came from the same mix. It's zinnia mix. They're fantastic. Zinnias are probably the most visited pollinator visited plant in my garden, and probably the most diverse group of pollinators. And that's why last year one of my freebies was zinnia. No, in your store. I don't know. I'll have to look. I don't have that memorized off the top of my head, but I will definitely check it out for you. So succession planting for beans is an excellent choice. You can plant one bed of beans and then 2 weeks later plant another bed of beans, especially if you've got some space. Not everybody realizes this, but bush beans in particular really only produce a hefty amount in 2 to 3 weeks. And then they kind of sometimes can continue to produce, but not enough for me to keep them in that space. No, they're not productive enough for me to keep them there. So what I'll do is, got a bug on my glasses. What I'll do is I'll pull them out. The plants, as long as they're not diseased, the plants will go in my compost pile. They'll enrich the soil for future gardens, and I'll plant something else. And so that's a great way to succession plant with summer crops is if you've got one thing that's ready to get pulled up, plant something else. So in the space that I have the squash that needs to get pulled out, I'm going to plant the white scallop squash. Speaking of my email, if you missed it yesterday, my email this morning, I sent it out. If you missed my live chat yesterday, I challenged everybody to grow white scallop squash. And that was because when I moved to this property in 2021, I started a garden the first week I was here, and July 1st, I planted white scallop squash. And in 42 days, I was able to start harvesting small patty pan squash. So I am a firm believer in sometimes breaking the rules. And like Inga said last night, that's why I'm a mostly feral gardener. And I thought it was fitting that I would wear my mostly feral gardener shirt. So I had people tell me that you can't plant a garden in July in East Texas. It's too hot. There are so many heat tolerant varieties that you can grow in Texas. You may not be as successful as earlier in the year or later in the year, but you can definitely do them. Let's see, Not For Nothing Homestead says that you grew them last year and they were delicious. Very cool. Your first round was slow. Probably going to pull them out and replant. That's what I do as well. Inga says, can you plant more beans in the same bed or two before? Yes, you can. Absolutely. In the same bed, I don't, because I don't want to disrupt the cycle of the beans. So if I will generally do a full bed or I'll do half and half. So I have a bed back here that has carrots. They are flowering, and I pulled half the bed of the seeds and I left the other half. So one half, I already planted squash and cucumbers in that bed. And then the second half of the bed, I have to pull the flowers, the carrots that are flowering to harvest the seeds. and then I'll plant more in the same bed. But I don't typically interplant beans and then pull up the old ones. I think I'm make sure I understand what you asked me. Summer squash is an excellent one. Patty pan is also called scallop squash. Whether it's yellow, whether it's white, whether it's green, whether it's multicolored, patty pan is scallop squash. And they are fantastic for the summer because you can typically harvest them a lot faster, especially if you have issues with squash vine borers. Sometimes you can harvest them before they can get to your plant. So I really like that part about the scallop squash. But summer squash in general, different types of zucchini. We carry like 6 different varieties of zucchini. I have a new person working in the seed shop this summertime, just part-time right now because I'm taking a little time off for myself in the afternoons or in the morning when I want to play in the garden. And she is so inquisitive about the different varieties because this is all new to her. And it's super fun talking about, she's like, wait, there's more than one type of carrot? Yeah, we carry a bunch of them. Wait, there's more than one type of zucchini? And so I've given her little tours of different parts of my garden, or I'll literally just open up the back door and go, look, that's Swiss chard right there. So Swiss chard is next on my list for a summer planting. There's a couple different colors and different varieties of Swiss chard that you can grow. It is more heat tolerant than other greens, but I would suggest planting it in a place that has a semi-shady spot in the heat of the day. It is 5 o'clock right now, 5:15, and this area here, as you can see, is mostly shaded in the evening time. That's why I'm live here and not over there, because that's full sun on that big garden, and I did not want to be in the full sun right now. So Swiss chard is on my list for summer planting. Corn is one that you can plant in the summertime. But right now, you need at least 100 frost-free days, if not 120. So if you have, sorry, I'm worried about critters because there's no fence back here where there's a fence over there and I'm a little more secure. If you've got 110, 120 days, you've got time to plant corn if you want to. Same with pumpkin. I am a huge fan of planting pumpkins in the summertime. Then you've got fall pumpkins to harvest. The Cherokee bush pumpkin I've talked about so many times. I want to say it started to flower within 4 weeks. I don't know that I've ever had a pumpkin flower in 4 weeks. I am shocked. I'm amazed, and I'm super excited that this was a new one that we added this year, and 4 weeks. Now, it's not producing, but it's flowering already, which is pretty significant. And it doesn't have the 5-foot long vines that I was told it would have. It's definitely more of a bush, so I'm excited about that too, because it means next year I don't have to give it as much space. I can plant them in smaller spaces and still get some pumpkins, so that's a plus. For those of you just joining me, welcome. For those of you who join me regularly, welcome back. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. In the description section of this video is a link to my comprehensive planting guide, a link to sign up for my emails because we've got some awesome announcements coming. If you're new to Mary's Heirloom Seeds, I do a seed sale and a seed giveaway usually on the 1st of every single month. So if you're interested in seeds, I did have a special request to offer fall seeds in my next seed sale. So I will definitely do that as well. Melons. It's a great time to plant melons right now. Summer is melon planting season. The Tamdu melon, for example, is about 80 to 90 days. It's a really good one to plant, especially in Texas. It is recommended by the Texas Extension Office. So if you're looking for something like that, you definitely want to try. It's a green flesh melon, really, really good honeydew melon. Scallions, if you want an onion, you can grow what did I talk about last time? The evergreen bunching onion. That's a really good one, and they're thriving in my garden. It's a perennial onion, by the way. If you want to plant tomatoes right now, you still can, but you want to try to find a variety that is faster maturing. So last night I mentioned the Stupichka tomato. It's pronounced Stupichka, even though it's spelled stupis. Stupice. It's a Czechoslovakian tomato, and it's ready to harvest much faster than most of the varieties. Now, one thing I want to show you is something that I added and included in my emails, and somebody actually had a problem. Well, not a problem. They put it on backwards the first time, and then they're like, now this makes sense when they put it on the right way. So, speaking of emails, this was added recently at Mary's Heirloom Seeds because it had been on my personal wish list for a while, and I bought one for myself, and I was like, holy cow, game changer, I need to share these with my customers. So this is the Upbloom Harvest apron. Straps around, it goes for about 42 inches, and just so you know, this little teeny in the back, this goes in the back, and it's perfect for your seed packs. And this fun enclosure goes in the front, and it's got clips. Totally sidetracking for my summer seed planting because we're harvesting so much right now. I fill this thing up multiple times and take it into the house or take it to my harvest basket because I can't tell you how many times I've walked into the house holding as much produce as I could from with my shirt and then went and grabbed my harvest basket. So now when I go out to the garden, I strap this thing around my waist. Super easy, and it's so, I mean, there's a lot of room in here. So I wanted to share that with you today because it's summertime. Not only are we planting seeds, but we are also harvesting. Okay, I missed a ton of comments, and I apologize. It was not showing up here. Looks fitting. Pulled your scallop squash seeds yesterday after the live. Yay. Yes. Alana, I figured that was you. I wasn't sure because your Facebook, and yes, you did shock me. Altered Ego 420 says, I've never eaten squash. And I'm like, holy cow. And my husband said, well, if you didn't cook squash for me, I wouldn't eat it either. Just because he's like, I don't know how to cook it. So my new challenge is for everybody to grow patty pan squash. Yes, you totally shocked me when you said that. And I think that's totally awesome. So what else? Inga says my Cherokee bush pumpkin is starting to grow females. You'll see male and female, totally fine. What is the code again for the sale? 30 flowers with no space. The number 30 and then flowers, all caps, no spaces, and put that in the discount code box. Alter Ego 420, you know about that because you use a discount code with your last order. Can you plant leeks right now? Heck yes. I am planting American flag leeks. I'm planting in the garden, and I'm planting them as microgreens in a 10 by 10 tray with coconut coir. That's a really fun. I love doing onion microgreens. So good. Kathleen says hello from New Jersey, going to plant more bush beans. Me too. Hey, Christy, thanks for joining me. Cool apron. I love this apron. Total game changer. Christy says here in Oregon, the only thing ready to harvest in my yard is strawberries. Well, that's totally normal for your area probably, or it might have been a really wet spring, so that's always that. So I've got a lot going on, can you tell? I'm super excited to be out here in the garden. So okay, so if you're looking to plant microgreens and you're looking for obviously more than a single seed pack with 200 seeds, if you go to marysheirloomseeds.com and you go to the bulk seeds, at the very top of the page, there's a bunch of different options, but you click bulk seeds. Bulk seeds will take you to lots of different things. You can plant every single radish seed we carry. You can grow microgreens from those. Every single onion we carry, you can grow microgreens from those. Alfalfa. I mean, there's so many different options. Broccoli. But rather than purchasing a seed pack that has 200 seeds in it, you can purchase them by the ounce or more. And now you've got a better deal on your seeds for microgreens. So if I carry something that you'd like in a microgreen that I don't carry in a large enough quantity, let me know. I also added black oil sunflower in a 4 ounce, 8 ounce, and I think a 1 pound. You can grow microgreens from black oil sunflower. You can also take that bulk seed pack and use it in your garden. And instead of buying a seed pack with 40 seeds in it, you've got hundreds of seeds in it. So that's a plus for you as well. Sunflowers are next on my list. You can definitely still plant sunflowers in your summer garden. You can scatter them wherever you want to and water them really well, or you can actually plant them. If you're going to plant them, some people recommend that you plant them slightly deeper than normal, not too deep, because if you plant them too deep, they may not germinate as well, or they may struggle to germinate because they're too deep. But usually in the summertime, it's so much hotter that your soil can stay a little more moist and a little cooler down a little deeper. But again, remember, not too deep, because that can deter or keep them from optimal germination, and you definitely don't want that. I mentioned pumpkins, but I didn't mention winter squash. So pumpkins are a winter squash, but not all winter squash is a pumpkin. I say that all the time, and I'm sure people are annoyed, like, duh, Mary, we already get it. But there are so many different varieties of winter squash that I want to just throw all that out there at you. Colette says, do sunflowers need to be staked? In my opinion, no, but some people like to stake them because they can topple over. If you do have storms, that can be a problem. I'm looking at my absolutely feral, they're not even semi-feral or mostly feral. I'm looking at my absolutely feral wild sunflowers. That was one that I showcased last night. If you want super fun sunflowers that will probably come back every year, plant wild sunflowers. They don't really have an edible value to them other than the seedlings. You can eat them. The seed heads, you can eat them if the seeds are not mature, but the seeds themselves are very small. They are not one for eating, because you'd be sitting there for days and you'd only get a tiny bit of sunflower seed meat with them. But they are currently probably 9 feet tall, because I'm 5'3", and these things are massive. And I didn't plant them this year. I planted them last year, and the seeds dropped last year, and they grew taller this year. So wild sunflower is definitely one on my list. It is a plant it once and it will continue to come back every year. At least in my garden it does. I can't make any promises. Dan says there was one sunflower that was a hybrid that measured at 22 feet. We don't sell hybrids at Mary's Heirloom Seeds. We only sell heirlooms, and you can actually get that from a skyscraper sunflower. You can also get that from a Titan sunflower, I believe. So you don't have to go hybrid, you can go heirloom. And the problem, some, not all, some of the hybrids are hybridized for color or for lack of pollen, and the heirlooms are covered in pollen, and I plant these for the pollinators. So I definitely want to make sure that I've got plenty of pollen for them. All right, let's see what else I've got here. So we have cucumbers, beans, summer squash. Super 8 says I spray my sunflowers with water in the garden during the middle of the day, and they flex back and forth while they are young and reach right back out. Yes. So by stressing them a little bit, it can build stronger roots. Definitely. Very good. I don't want a 16-foot ladder. I don't use a 16-foot ladder. I plant these and I let them go. I don't harvest them unless I'm harvesting for seed, and that's a whole nother story. You won't see me up on a ladder in my garden. All right, so let's talk about just a recap, because I got to get inside before I get overheated. Cucumbers, beans, summer squash, winter squash, including pumpkins, melons, cowpeas, not garden peas, just cowpeas, Swiss chard, scallions, like the evergreen bunching onion, leeks, zucchini, also a summer squash, but also deserves an honorable mention. Tomatoes, preferably a faster maturing tomato if you have less time before your frost dates. Basil and oregano, I didn't mention, but I'm mentioning them now. They are more heat tolerant than some of the others. And then corn was last on my list, but really you need to make sure that you've got plenty of time, like 110 days before that. And I did mention, but I'm going to mention it again, you want to plant your seeds in the evening time in moist soil to get a heads up on those. You don't want them to dry out. You don't want to spend all that time in the heat planting seeds and having them dry out before they get a chance to flourish. All right, so today's topic was seed planting, summer seed planting, and I also shared a discount code with you as well. If you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And as I mentioned earlier, down in the description section of this video, you'll find a link to my comprehensive planting guide. Tons of great info. Yep, the Moskvich is a good one as well. And sign up for the email. The link is there as well, because I've got seed garlic that will be announced very, very soon. And you definitely want to get in on that, because once we sell out, we have no more left. We offer pre-orders at the end of June. We usually sell out by the end of July, and we ship those out in the end of September and early October. So you got to plan for those ahead of time. All right, I am Mary at Mary's Heirloom Seeds, signing off. I am going to head in and cool off. Thanks for joining, everybody, and happy planting.